Well, good afternoon to our listening audience. My name is George Smith. I am the director of Michigan State University AgBioResearch. I have my good friend Doug Chapin here with me today. Doug's a dairy farmer and also the chairman of the board of directors of the Michigan Milk Producers Association. So this conversation is going to be a little bit different than some of the ones we've had previously about, you know, impact of research that's already been done, but more talking about the future, the new dairy facility, the potential that holds, and the way that Doug as a producer and our industry wants to get involved and give something back. So, Doug, we're very happy to have you on this Ag Bio Research podcast today.
Well, thanks, George. I'm really glad to be here, and I'm actually pretty excited to talk about not only MSU but the dairy
Uh,
farm directly because it's going to play a huge role for the dairy industry and producers in Michigan. So I'm really excited to talk about that.
yeah, we're going to have a great conversation. I know you quite well and I know your background, but I'm not sure everyone in our listening audience would be as familiar with you as I am. So tell us more about your background in the dairy industry.
So I farm with my wife and son Sam in Mecosta County. We milk about 1,200 Holsteins up here. Um, so that's we raise all the feed, raise all our heifers, and have just been on a slow growth curve for a long time. I've always been active in off-farm organizations, Farm Bureau as a young producer, and but also really migrated towards Michigan Milk and joined the board there nine years ago, and I've served as chairman for the last six. Um, and so it's through Michigan Milk I've really become involved in National Milk, and that's really given me a chance to really see a lot of things around the country and be with a lot of people. And I'll just say that it's really those connections that have helped me see that I'll say it this way. We have a very unique situation here in Michigan, the relationship of producers to the university and even within the legislature. And that's what I would say as I've had a chance to travel a lot, one thing that I've really seen.
Yeah, well, Doug, it's such a great story. I tell that story every chance I get, and you really, really nailed it talking about the relationships between producers, the state's university, the land grant institution, Michigan State University, and our elected officials. So, kind of expand upon that a little bit. Give us a few examples or your opinion on how MSU has helped the dairy industry over the years with research, education, and outreach.
Well, actually say it this way, George. I would ask a producer I would think you'd be hard pressed to find a producer that hasn't been helped.
Uh,
And as I look at my own farm, um, I definitely extend when I came back to the farm. I'll just share. My father died when I was quite young, and so I was looking for information. I did 2 years. I did the 2 year program at Michigan State. Came back home, and so as I was growing. I didn't have the mentor who was hoping for. I'll just say it that way. And extension played a key role for me in my business, without a doubt. It really helped me make decisions. I actually reached back and used the professors that I had during the 2 year program, and they helped me make some key decisions that actually really helped set us up for success. But more than that, more than just extension, as I look at the research, a couple areas that have really benefited my farm was Pursley's research on timed AI. That as I was trying to grow and struggling with heat detection like that, all of that research on timed AI really made a lot of sense as I was trying to grow the herd like that. And that played an important role for me to help me manage my growth that I was going through at that time. Um, and this is something very current, but I've not seen any technology taken up any faster than Plenish beans or Ohio Lake beans.
mm,
And and the way that that has come on, and as I look at the investment throughout the state, not, I mean, investment in processing, investment in the beans being grown, and actually the rewards by the dairy producers. Um, I just don't know. I That research by Dr. Adam Locke has just been like on fire in the state, and that's just something very current that everyone can look at. And as I look back, there'd be several other research pieces that have helped me, but I'd say the extension and the staff relationships really helped me make key decisions. Has been one of the biggest parts for me, I'll be honest.
Well, Doug, I always love these conversations, and I love the opportunity to talk to producers like yourself and hear those firsthand testimonial of how Ag Bioresearch and Extension and the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources has really had an impact on people's farms, operations, and livelihoods. That epitomizes the land grant mission, training the next generation of students, that workforce, doing research that'll make a difference and getting it out and making sure that information reaches the intended clientele through extension. Characteristics of the land grant mission when it first started in the 1800s that ring true today. And for me, that's what makes it so valuable and worthwhile is to hear stories like your stories and others kind of reaffirming that the work we do really does make a difference. And now we're in a position to have an even greater impact moving forward with that, transformational investment from the state of Michigan, which you and others helped make possible. $30 million into a new dairy facility, that collective vision, which MMPA certainly led, and the entire agriculture community was behind and supported, that allowed us to build that new state-of-the-art facility on College Road, just within throwing distance south of really where the old farm was. And I know you've been there and seen it. I know many of your producers have been there and seen it, and that's a lot of enthusiasm. So, but that was a heavy lift and a significant cost, not only to make it happen, but to sort of pay for it in the future. So give us your perspective and the perspective of your producers with MMPA. Why were you supportive of the investment in a new dairy facility at MSU? And how valuable do you think that producer perspective was in talking to our legislators and making that foundational investment possible?
Well, I think one of the biggest reasons we were supportive of the investment was we knew what we had needed to be updated. We all honestly knew that it was time. And so when the opportunity, there was, I think, this window of opportunity to get some state funds to get it kicked off. And, and I thought, you know, so you just it was important. I was glad that you all wanted to go for it, and it was important for the industry to step up and say, let's go for it. And it was that process that actually what I enjoyed the most was all of ag stepped up, not just dairy, but we
Right.
all saw the investment that we needed in the greenhouses and the dairy farm, and we needed that investment. And so I'd say the biggest thing was need, and I'd say that need was fostered by the idea that we wanted MSU to remain at the front of dairy research, right? And we saw that. I think as we gave those tours of the old facility, it really allowed us to 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 show the need to our legislators. But I think what the dairy perspective, the dairy producer perspective showed was that there is a solid connection in between the university and the producer that we needed to keep vibrant and strong. And I think by having the producers echoing the value of what they were getting from MSU, and not only echoing the value of what they were getting, but also talking about what they thought they needed more of, really encouraged the legislature to say, okay, there's some wins, not only for the producers, but there's some wins here for the consumers. There's some wins here for both rural and urban Michigan, I would say. And I think I think the producers help draw those connections, that this wasn't just about the university, that it was about the producers and it was about the consumers, and it was really about, I'd say, the growth of ag in Michigan.
Yeah, Doug, I couldn't agree more. So well said. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And I remember those tours through the old dairy when we were trying to make a case for this. And Boy, am I glad we're not touring that old dairy anymore. We have a new
Yeah,
facility to
yeah,
showcase and really talk about the future. So
yeah.
that certainly made a difference. And I couldn't agree more with the other points you made about how important it was for our elected officials to hear the needs of the industry going forward and how a new facility would help
Mhm.
the industry be positioned to be stronger, more profitable, more resilient in the future, which is what it's really, really, really all about. And, like you said, this investment was so transformational, not just for the dairy industry, but the 23 million that also went for the greenhouses and a total industry effort. So, yeah, it's kind of fun to look back and talk about where we were and how far we've come. But it's also fun to kind of look forward and thinking about where this might lead us, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. So, what do you think the new Dairy Teaching and Research Center really is going to mean to the Michigan dairy producers? And what gets you excited? And what do you think gets your colleagues in the industry excited about the future?
I think one of the biggest and automatic and very easy wins to see is that what that facility can bring as far as attracting the best educators and the best researchers to Michigan State. That seems like with the strength of that facility, we definitely can attract the right educators. And then one of the next big wins is the students, right? And that's really where that's the biggest win we'll get from this. And in the dairy industry today, it's just you just have to admit that we've lost our number of farms are less. Our family size is smaller. So a lot of our talent coming up are not going to be farm kids, which historically have gone to MSU, come back, and been a lot of our talent that has been serving the ag industry. Well, as those numbers decline, we definitely need to attract the best students without a farm background and get them excited about dairy. And and that's how we're going to fill our needs as far as nutritionists, environmental engineering, um, vets, veterinarians, herd managers, and all of those talents that we need to operate these farms, accounting, and all of those things will come from kids that get excited about dairy and how they can serve the industry. And so we need the best and the brightest at MSU to see, wow, there's a real opportunity here in this field that I wasn't thinking about. And I think the farm can help us, the new Dairy Farm and Research Center can help us develop that and bring key students into dairy. And I think even today you're seeing an increase in enrollment already, right, George?
We are, yeah, there's so much enthusiasm for the new facility and so much,
Yeah.
student interest. It's through the roof.
And so that's how Michigan wins, right? That's another way
Right.
Michigan wins is that. And then obviously there's a huge connection with whether you're, our own kids' education like that. It's a great place for
Mhm.
that. And then the next big win is the research because that facility will have room to do. I'm not even sure if I said 3 times, it can do a lot more research
Yeah.
than what we could do on the other farm. And the research actually answers our questions of tomorrow, right? And so where the dairy industry is today, I find very exciting. But where the dairy industry will be tomorrow will be answered by research. And so I don't think you ever want to back away from that research because I honestly don't know all the questions that we're going to have to answer in the future, but I know we need that research to answer them when they come up. So, those are 3 areas that I think that will really showcase the value to producers in this new facility.
Yeah, Doug, I couldn't agree more. I'm a research guy at heart. I love talking to people like you about how research can help solve problems that make a difference on farms now and for decades to come. I love talking to our faculty, but truth be told, I get the most excited when I get to talk to students because they are the future. And
Right.
there is no Michigan State University without the students. And you so well outlined the challenges that agriculture is facing in terms of that workforce of the future. And that was one of the major selling points as we were working in partnership with you and the entire agriculture community for this investment in Michigan agriculture manifest by $30 million towards a new dairy teaching and research center and 23 million towards new greenhouses. And I know that investment in a new dairy facility is going to pay off in such a big way from the student perspective. To have our own state-of-the-art facility rivaling or exceeding, I'm going to say exceeding any other dairy facility at land grant university in the country. And for those students who don't come from an ag background, to make sure they have a positive experience in a facility full of all the state-of-the-art technology, that's going to pay big dividends, not only for students that want to go back and work on the farm or work in allied industries, but also that next generation of large animal veterinarians, which we know is a big, big issue. So we can talk about research
Yeah.
too. We talk about that all the time, but I'm doubling down with you on the importance of the students. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the students. And it's great to hear your enthusiasm and why the industry is so excited about this. So we really, really appreciate the support that MMPA and the entire ag community played and helped making this happen. I think as we look to the future and the role that producers like you and Michigan Milk Producers Association want to play in investing towards the future and helping us raise funds to pay for the facility, in some ways that's equally meaningful, or in some ways, to be perfectly honest, it might be even more meaningful because it's an effort to invest your own resources, which you and others work very hard for, into that vision and helping it come to reality and positioning that facility to be able to do all the things we all dream and aspire for it to do. So tell us a little bit more about the campaign that MMPA is leading. And first of all, then secondly, I know you actually stepped up, you and your family and your donors. Tell us why it was important to you to be part of this effort and support the Dairy Teaching and Research Center financially.
So, so at MMPA, we brought up the we brought up the idea about supporting the farm, about the new dairy research center, and and everyone on our board, and we have two guys from the state of Ohio on there, both of them with OSU roots, and they were very supportive as well. So, but with that said, no, I think our board supported it for all the reasons that both of us have mentioned, and we knew we wanted to be involved in helping with the funding. Um, and I say that for two reasons. Number one, we will personally benefit, so I think it's good for us to also personally be involved, and I'd say um, to demonstrate the value to the rest of the state a little bit. And another reason I think that the fundraising MMPA is so important is that it sends a signal that this truly is important to the industry. And so all of the allied industries that we work with, we
Mhm.
hope that they can say, boy, the producers really see value here. If it's important to the producers that we rely on, it should be important to us as well. And so I'm hoping that the producer stepping up also brings others to the table that have been thinking about it, but maybe on the edge. Just say, no, if it's important to our producers, I can see that a lot of these allied industries rely on the producers and that they can see value in stepping up as well. And so at MMPA, we decided that we would sponsor the naming of the large classroom in the at the home there, and we've made a commitment to raise that money through the next year and help. We're going to lead the campaign through our members and help. I'd say sell the idea, but I think it'll be a pretty easy sell to raise those funds. And at the same time, we're also working on the Joe Domek endowment, which is actually also important because it helps put a faculty in there, right? It helps an educator come in. It helps hire someone to teach there. And so you can't have one without the other. So we're also working on a campaign to help fund the DOMEC chair. And we will on the DOMEC chair, the co-op will match whatever any member gives towards that. We'll match on that. And on the members, we definitely support the 250 per cow idea and definitely think that it could be much larger. We don't know that it should have a cap at 250, and that's not what we're advocating for, but we're just really leading the campaign for our members to step up. And MMPA's made a commitment to reach the goal for enough funds to pay for the naming of that classroom. And I think if you're talking to members or dairy producers that hear this that aren't in Michigan Milk, there's a lot of opportunities for those that give. They have certain levels and there's plaques in there. You can memorialize a family member, a farm, recognize a farm and like that. I think all of those really signify the importance that MSU was to you and the importance that MSU was to the farm. So yeah, this next year, we're definitely going to be working hard on raising those funds and made a commitment that the funds will be there, will be there. And I really, knowing our producers and knowing the value of MSU, I think it'll be a pretty easy lift for us. I think our producers are ready to be asked.
Yeah, Doug, this is so exciting, and we're so appreciative of the support of your organization stepping forward and wanting to be part of this. And I think having the MMPA contribution kind of memorialized in the classroom really fits what we were just talking about previously in the critical role of education and training that workforce of the future. And, what a great effort to recognize the long-standing contributions of Joe Domek to the teaching program and provide that funding to help support that vibrant teaching program going forward that's critical to the goals of the facility, and the mission. So we're really, really excited and happy to do anything we can to support you in your efforts and appreciative of that. You mentioned a couple other aspects of the fundraising campaign that I'm gonna kind of double down
Yeah.
on or reemphasize as well. So we would encourage anyone who is sort of shares this vision and wants to help us get where we need to go to give. And we feel it's important to have a way where people do step forward, people, organizations for their contributions to be recognized. So probably the first grassroots kind of idea that sort of got some of this going came from Barry Bradford and conversations with others, certainly
Mhm.
in your industry and your organization about the fact that could we put forward a type of fundraising idea based on the goal of 250 per cow because there's over 400,000 cows in the state of Michigan. So that would be $1 million in support from the industry coming back to help secure that foundation in the facilities we talked about. And so that goal is still out there. But you mentioned as well ways for people to go beyond that and have their contributions, recognized. So there will be a Dairy Hall of Fame, is what we're calling it in the facility, in a place where anyone who provides a gift over $10,000 will have their name on a plaque, and it can be in memory of whoever they want with whatever type of wording. We want all the people that help make this possible and their contributions to be recognized for decades to come, long after my time be involved in the program is gone and others. So that's really important to us as well. So, and I know there'll be questions that come up about this, and we really appreciate the leadership that MMPA's providing. You mentioned another really important point that it's important for producers to also give directly. I think that will help us in a huge way fundraising because the industry in the state said this is important and they wanted to directly invest their funds. As we're talking to allied industries, agribusiness, et cetera, about being part of this, being able to say that the Michigan industry, which is the top dairy industry in the country, um, recognized the importance and got on board and helped us get here. That is going to help us in a whole host of other ways from a fundraising perspective. So we're so thrilled that MMPA made the commitment to do this and made the pledge they made. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see the great work that your organization does and others getting the word out. And I know this is going to be really, really successful. So we've had a great conversation, Doug. I think we've hit a lot on the key points. So I just want to ask maybe one final question before we wrap things up. I don't want to overlook the fact that you also stepped forward, you and your family, and made a contribution. So, from a personal perspective, tell us why that was important to you, maybe taking off your MMPA board chairman hat and your Doug Chapin dairy producer hat of why you felt it was important to give something back.
Well, for me, George, it was really about I I think it's fair to recognize that MSU has brought me value. And I'm also in the situation where I have a son coming behind me that actually today manages the dairy day to day much more than I do, I'll be honest. And so he's coming behind me. And so I know his needs are going to be just as great in the future as mine have been in the past. And so I thought the reason that we were willing to give from our farm was in a way I wanted to say thank you for what MSU has provided for me by the work from extension, from the time I attended, and also as a way of saying you're not done yet, because the needs are going to be greater in the future. The challenges are going to be greater in the future. I think I've never felt that dairy was poised any better than it is today. And so with that area of strength, I know there's going to be a lot of challenges. I also never thought Michigan was poised any better than it is today. It's always been a great environment for cows. You know, I just think that the reason we were willing to make a donation was because two things. Number one, I already said it. I'm thankful for the way they helped me. And number two, I want you there to help in the future. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's not like a gift to say thank you as much as it is a gift to say, okay, let's go to work. I'll be
Mhm.
honest, George, a little bit of that. And the tools are there to do it now. And that really, yeah, I'm going to digress a little bit because when I look at what we've done there, I say we very loosely, but what you guys have built there on the dairy farm, I see a place that is actually, I think we moved Michigan to a place of leadership within not only the land grant universities, but also the dairy industry in a much higher standing. I'm so excited about it. And it's easy as you look around the state and see all the investments being made in the state today for dairy. I think Michigan's poised, really is poised today to grow. And there's going to be challenges with that growth. And I'm
Mhm.
glad Michigan State's going to be there to help us.
Yeah, Doug, I really appreciate your comments and your family's commitment to really pay it forward, seeing that bright future and wanting to be a part of it and invest in that future. And you have my commitment and others at Michigan State University that we are dedicated to that mission. And we know this investment is going to pay off in a big way for decades and decades to come. So your commitment, and I know the commitment that others in your industry are going to make really, really speaks volume and says a lot. It's really, really important to me personally, and it's important to leadership of the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, AgBioResearch and Extension, and I'm going to speak on behalf of the university proper. So look forward to seeing how this campaign goes and look forward to all the great work we're going to do in the future together. So, Doug, it's been a great conversation. Enjoyed it and look forward to talking with you again in the future.
Well, thank you, George. I've enjoyed it as well. Always view MSU as a great partner. So I also look forward to what we accomplish together and what the university provides. I mean, it's a great time for dairy. It's a great time for the university. So yeah, I'm excited about all of it.
Thanks.
You bet. Thank you.